Hello, Movie Mancher. Today we'll be revisiting the classic horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's dive into the chilling events that unfolded on Elm Street. The movie opens with an unidentified man, his face shrouded in darkness, meticulously sharpening a set of menacing claws that he wears on his hands. The scene then transitions to a chilling, factory-like location where a young girl is seen wandering nervously. As she senses danger approaching, she starts to run, believing she is being pursued by the claw-wielding man from her nightmares. In a heart-pounding chase, she races through the eerie surroundings, desperately trying to escape her malevolent pursuer. Eventually, the girl awakens with a gasp, realizing it was all just a terrifying dream that had jolted her from sleep. As she wakes up, her parents hear her distress and rush to check on her. Concerned and caring, they try to comfort their daughter, Tina, who is still shaken by the vivid nightmare. They assure her that it was just a bad dream and encourage her to go back to sleep. However, Tina shows them something alarming: the shredded remains of her clothes, bearing unmistakable claw markings. Troubled by this discovery, she points out the claw-like cuttings to her mother. Unaware of the true horror that awaits them, Tina's mother dismisses it as a simple matter of her daughter needing to trim her nails. Unsettled, but trying to ease Tina's fears, they bid her goodnight once again, hoping that she will find restful sleep. Little do they know that this is only the beginning of a nightmarish ordeal that will haunt them all. The next scene unfolds with Tina and her two friends stepping out of a vibrant red car, possibly belonging to one of her friends. As they gather around, Tina starts to recount her harrowing nightmare from the previous sleep, expressing how it was the most terrifying one she's ever experienced. Her concerned boyfriend Rod joins the group and attempts to lighten the mood by making a joke to dismiss the fear. But Tina is not willing to brush it off that easily. She insists on sharing her disturbing dream and seeks to know if her friends had any unsettling experiences during their slumber as well. One of her friends acknowledges having a bad dream too, but advises Tina to open up about her own dream, reassuring her that it's normal for everyone to have bad dreams from time to time. Despite the attempt to console her, Tina is determined to reveal the contents of her nightmare, perhaps seeking solace and understanding from her friends in the face of this unsettling and ominous experience. In this scene, Glenn, Nancy, and Tina are gathered at Tina's house without their parents' knowledge. Glenn's parents are away on a journey, and Tina's parents are also out, but Nancy's situation remains unknown. As they spend time together, the atmosphere is filled with curiosity, fear, and a desire to find answers. Suddenly, Glenn receives a call from his mom for a checkup. Wanting to maintain the secrecy of their meeting, he plays a recording of a noisy road race and chaotic sounds that he got from Ron. Using it as background noise, Glenn pretends to be in a different setting, allowing him to end the call without arousing suspicion. After the interruption, Tina resumes sharing her recurring and horrifying dream, expressing her fear and confusion. As she recounts her experiences, Nancy appears to be familiar with the man with clawed hands that haunts their nightmares. Feeling a sense of connection, Nancy and Tina may discover that they both dream of the same menacing figure. This realization raises more questions and adds to the growing unease in the room. In an attempt to lighten the mood and dispel some tension, Glenn playfully places a bowl of chips between them, jokingly suggesting that it's impossible for them to dream the same thing. However, despite the attempt to make light of the situation, the eerie circumstances persist, and they are left to ponder the unsettling events that seem to tie their nightmares together. As they move forward, they hear mysterious sounds resembling sharp claws in the backyard. Glenn takes the lead as they go to investigate the source of the noises. To their relief, they discover that it was merely a prank, and the culprit behind the eerie sounds is their friend Ron. Ron jests, playfully accusing Glenn of trying to steal his girl. However, Tina steps in to defend Glenn, humorously clarifying that she's only interested in Nancy, her close friend whom Glenn brought along due to the late hour and for safety reasons. As they prepare for sleep, Tina and Ron decide to rest in Tina's parents' bed, leaving Glenn and Nancy to share Tina's bed. However, Glenn decides to opt for more space and comfort and chooses to sleep downstairs on the couch. Before slumbering of Tina and Ron perform coitus. In the midst of the night, Tina experiences a terrifying dream where she is pursued by the clawed man who manages to grab hold of her and scratch her stomach. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ron observes Tina struggling for breath, but cannot see the source of her distress, as the clawed man is present only in her dream. Despite her struggles, Tina eventually succumbs to the man's attack and dies, with Ron witnessing her lifeless body floating on the ceiling. The subsequent scene shifts to a police station, where the authorities discuss the tragic death incident involving a weapon that resembled a razor. Suspicion arises around Tina's boyfriend, Rod, as he was alone in the room with her. The circumstances seem to suggest his possible involvement. Nancy's father, who holds a prominent position in the police department, enters the room where Nancy is being held and begins questioning her. He inquires about the reason she went to her friend's house at that particular time. Nancy explains that she went to Tina's house due to Tina's recurring nightmares, intending to offer comfort and support to her friend during a difficult time. The following day, Nancy attempts to resume her routine by going to school, but her mother expresses concern for her well-being, suggesting that she might need some rest. Nancy, despite having a restless night tossing and turning, brushes off the suggestion and heads to school determinedly. Outside, an unsettling presence in a suit appears to be observing Nancy. As she turns to look, the figure inexplicably vanishes, leaving a sense of unease in its wake. Continuing on her way, Nancy walks a few steps before being abruptly pulled into nearby bushes by Rod. In an urgent tone, Rod tells Nancy that he is innocent of Tina's death. He explains that even though the door was closed on their side, there was someone else present in the room. Nancy's father suddenly appears on the scene and sternly orders Rod to step away from Nancy and surrender. In a tense moment, Rod makes a desperate attempt to escape, sprinting toward the road. However, his escape is short-lived as police cars swiftly converge, effectively blocking his path. With his options dwindling, Rod finds himself surrounded and ultimately apprehended by the authorities. As Rod is taken into custody, he pleads his innocence to the officers, attempting to explain his side of the story. Despite his protests, the police remain skeptical, their suspicions outweighing his words. Left with no alternative, Nancy pleads tirelessly with her father, insisting on Rod's innocence. Resigned to the situation, she eventually starts her journey to school. However, the emotional toll of the previous events catches up with her, and her lack of sleep from the previous night leads her to fall asleep during classes. In her exhausted state, Nancy's sleep takes her into a dream realm. In this dream, she encounters a chilling sight: Tina's lifeless body encased in a cadaver bag. Driven by an inexplicable urge, Nancy decides to follow Tina's spectral presence as it navigates the school's hallways. As she delves deeper into her dream, Nancy inadvertently stumbles upon the hallway monitor, whose duty is to demand passes from students. Defiant and determined, Nancy dismisses the authority figure, uttering, "Screw your pass," and continues on her path. As Nancy relentlessly called out and searched for her missing friend Tina, she encounters the ominous man wielding razor claws from her nightmares. Fear grips her as she attempts to flee, but her escape route leads her inexorably into a forbidding factory, mirroring the eerie setting of her dream. Desperation sets in, and Nancy confronts her pursuer, summoning her courage. With a defiant cry, she proclaims that it's just a dream and, driven by instinct, burns the upper part of her arm, desperately trying to free herself from the nightmarish grip. In a stroke of luck, Nancy jolts awake, gasping for air and frantically shouting, "It's only a dream!" The abruptness of her awakening startles her classmates, who turn their attention to her, puzzled by the commotion. Responding swiftly, the teacher rushes to Nancy's side, offering comfort and reassurance as she struggles to regain her composure. Nancy ventures into the confines of Rod's cell, seeking answers regarding the tragic death of their mutual friend, Tina. With a heavy heart, she engages in a candid conversation with Rod, driven by the need to uncover the truth behind Tina's murder. The weight of the situation hangs heavily in the air as Nancy presses Rod for information about the identity of the perpetrator. Rod's voice trembles as he explains that he was unable to discern the face or body of the murderer in the chaos of the incident, an enigmatic figure seemingly cloaked in invisibility. He describes the weapon used, recounting the chilling details of how the knife or razor-like claws sliced through Tina's stomach with deadly precision. Rod also shares his own unsettling experience, recounting a dream where he encountered a man wielding those very same claws. As Rod's words linger, Nancy absorbs the harrowing account, grappling with the disturbing reality that surrounds them. The weight of the information seems to render her momentarily speechless, her mind processing the implications of what she's just learned. Then she goes out. Back at home, Nancy seeks solace in a warm bath, attempting to ease her troubled mind. Fatigue takes its toll, and she drifts into a restless slumber within the confines of the tub. Unbeknownst to her, the malevolent figure with razor-like claws from her nightmares materializes in the dream realm, a sinister manifestation of her fears. The menacing presence attempts to drown her, a nightmarish struggle that she miraculously manages to escape. Nancy's distressed cries alert her mother, who rushes to the bathroom in alarm. Discovering Nancy safe but shaken, her mother provides comfort and reassurance, tending to her daughter's well-being. As night descends and the time for sleep approaches, Glenn, her friend, quietly enters Nancy's room. A silent understanding passes between them, and he resolves to stand watch and offer his presence as a source of comfort. The atmosphere is laden with tension and uncertainty as Nancy seizes the opportunity to seek answers from Glenn. Curiosity guiding her, Nancy poses a series of questions, probing the boundaries of their shared experiences. She inquires about recent dreams, prompting Glenn to share his own encounters. Nancy delves deeper, asking about beliefs in the supernatural and the potential for dreams to foretell the future. Glenn, however, dismisses her inquiries, attributing their focus to their conviction that Rod is responsible for Tina's death. Nancy opens up to Glenn, sharing her deep-seated need for assistance. With a solemn nod, Glenn agrees to help her, offering his unwavering support. Nancy's request is straightforward, yet poignant. She asks Glenn to keep watch as she sleeps, ready to wake her if any signs of distress emerge from her slumber. As the night settles, Nancy succumbs to sleep, her consciousness venturing into an alternate realm that mirrors reality, but bears a sinister undercurrent. In this eerie parallel world, Nancy's surroundings echo the familiar, yet exude an unsettling aura. She emerges from her home, stepping a few paces, only to find herself standing before the foreboding police station. A chilling sight unfolds as the man wielding razor-like claws materializes within the confines of the cell, the barrier of bars seemingly no obstacle to his presence. The malevolent figure then sets his sights on Ron. A nightmarish chase ensues, with Nancy caught in the midst of it. Panic coursing through her, Nancy implores Glenn to awaken her from this distressing ordeal, but her pleas yield no response. She flees, her heart pounding, racing toward the sanctuary of her room upstairs. A frenetic struggle against the claws-wielding entity ensues, their battle a desperate clash between reality and the nightmarish otherworld. As the clock alarm pierces through the tension, Nancy jolts awake. As Nancy awakens from her tumultuous dream, frustration taints her voice as she reproaches Glenn for failing to keep his promise. She sharply voices her disappointment, expressing her feelings of vulnerability and abandonment in the midst of her distressing ordeal. Before the tension can fully settle, Nancy's mother enters the room, drawn by her daughter's agitation. In a quick and instinctive maneuver, Glenn slips out of view, concealing himself near the window to avoid detection. With resolve in their hearts, Nancy and Glenn embark on a daring mission to the police station, determined to ensure Rod's safety before the malevolent figure with razor-like claws can enact the chilling fate she witnessed in her dream. The weight of uncertainty hangs heavy as they approach the station, anticipation mingling with fear. Upon their arrival, a tense confrontation ensues as Nancy clashes with the steadfast police officer on duty. Her impassioned plea to see Rod falls on deaf ears as the officer remains resolute in his refusal. Unexpectedly, Nancy's father emerges from an adjacent room, his presence a surprise to both Nancy and her father alike. The situation intensifies, with tensions rising as father and daughter find themselves at a crossroads. Undeterred, Nancy persists, her determination wearing down her father's initial resistance. In a pivotal moment, he relents, granting them access to the holding cells. The journey takes them deeper into the heart of the station, their footsteps echoing the rapid rhythm of their hearts. As they reach Rod's cell, an unsettling scene greets them. The aftermath of a struggle is evident, and their worst fears are realized as they find Rod bearing the marks of a violent encounter. In the eyes of the police officers and Glenn, Rod's death is tragically deemed a suicide, a conclusion that they accept based on the evidence at hand. However, for Nancy, the truth remains elusive, and her convictions lead her down a different path. In her heart and mind, the specter of the man wielding razor-like claws looms large, casting doubt upon the official explanation. As the somber day of Rod's burial dawns, Nancy finds herself grappling with the weight of her beliefs. The funeral becomes a poignant reminder of the mysteries that have entwined their lives, prompting Nancy to seek solace in sharing her perspective with her parents. Yet, when Nancy attempts to confide in her parents about the elusive figure she believes is responsible for Rod's demise, her words meet resistance. Disbelief and skepticism cloud their responses, and they reject her claims outright. The car door closes on her attempts to be heard, leaving Nancy isolated in her convictions. Amidst the frustration and isolation, Nancy's mother offers a glimmer of hope, suggesting that she knows of a place where Nancy can find the help she needs. Her mother vows to take her there. The following day, Nancy accompanies her mother to a psychology institution, a place where she hopes to find answers and insights into the enigmatic nightmares that have plagued her existence. Inside the institution, a doctor outlines a plan. Nancy is to sleep while her brain activity and vital signs are monitored, with the goal of uncovering the mysteries that lie within her dreams. As Nancy drifts into slumber, the anticipation in the room is palpable. The doctor and his team observe as the monitors display Nancy's brain activity. However, their initial hope turns to alarm as the signals begin to spike unexpectedly, indicating heightened brain activity. Nancy's struggle within her dream becomes evident, prompting the medical team to intervene swiftly, waking her from her restless slumber. In a bid to facilitate a more seamless sleep, the doctor proposes an injection that would help Nancy continue her sleep uninterrupted. However, Nancy resists, pushing away the doctor's attempts to administer the medication. In that tense moment, the truth is revealed as Nancy's actions expose her upper arm, displaying cuts that bear an eerie resemblance to the wounds inflicted by the man wielding razor-like claws. In a startling gesture, Nancy presents a hat, a chilling artifact that she claims belongs to the ominous figure from her nightmares. Tension mounts between Nancy and her mother, the air heavy with unresolved emotions. Her mother's insistence on sleep clashes with Nancy's growing desperation to confront the sinister forces that have infiltrated her life. Frustration boiling over, Nancy thrusts the ominous hat into her mother's view, revealing the chilling words, "Freddy Krueger," stitched into its fabric. In response, her mother offers a dismissive reassurance, insisting that Freddy Krueger is a thing of the past, an entity long vanquished. She urges Nancy to let go of her fears, assuring her that there's no cause for concern. But Nancy's conviction remains unshaken, her belief in the connection between her nightmares and the malevolent figure engraved in her mind. The conversation takes a painful turn as emotions erupt. In her frustration and desperation to be understood, Nancy confronts her mother about her own struggles, pointing out her alcohol consumption. The accusation strikes a nerve, and her mother's temper flares. The sound of a slap punctuates the charged atmosphere, a harsh reminder of the strain that has fractured their relationship. Frustration and resentment still simmering, Nancy's actions take a defiant turn. With a swift motion, she sends her mother's glass of alcohol crashing to the floor, the shattering sound punctuating her discontent. The tension between them lingers, a silent testament to the emotions that run deep. During the day, Nancy seeks solace and distraction in the company of Glenn. They spend time together, with Nancy engrossed in a book titled Booby Traps, a reflection of her determination to protect herself against the unseen dangers that haunt her nightmares. Night falls, and Nancy returns home, only to be met with a chilling revelation. Bars have been affixed to every window of the house, a precaution her mother has taken in response to the escalating events. The sight triggers another confrontation between mother and daughter, their voices rising as they clash over the restrictive measures. Amid the heated exchange, Nancy's mother unveils the truth behind the name Freddy Krueger. She recounts a haunting tale of a man who once terrorized their community, preying on innocent and defenseless children. The narrative unfolds, how law enforcement's missteps and a flawed search warrant allowed the malevolent figure to escape justice, leaving a trail of horror in his wake. Nancy's mother reveals a chilling climax to the story, a vigilante act of retribution carried out by a group of parents, including Nancy's own mother. In a macabre bid for vengeance, they tracked Freddy Krueger to an abandoned boiler factory, doused the premises in gasoline, and set it ablaze. The chilling imagery of the burning factory becomes a haunting backdrop to the tale of collective desperation and the darkness that lingers beneath the surface. Nancy's world is further enveloped in an unsettling mix of dread and revelation, as her mother takes a chilling step to substantiate her story. With a solemn expression, she unfolds a cloth to reveal the ominous razor-like claws once wielded by Freddy Krueger. The sight of the sinister artifact sends a shiver down Nancy's spine, its tangible presence a stark reminder of the horrors that have haunted her dreams. In the midst of the tense atmosphere, Nancy's mother offers reassurance, attempting to quell her daughter's mounting anxieties. She holds out the cloth-bound claws, her voice laced with an earnest conviction, assuring Nancy that everything is under control and that she can rest without fear. Despite the unsettling revelations and the undeniable evidence before her, Nancy is left grappling with conflicting emotions. the chilling truth she has just witnessed, and the persistent doubts that linger in her mind. The boundaries between reality and the nightmare realm continue to blur, leaving Nancy to navigate a treacherous path between the unexplained and the inexplicable. As the night deepens and the weight of Nancy's revelations weighs heavily on her mind, she reaches out to Glenn, seeking solace and support. In a hushed tone, she imparts her newfound knowledge. She's uncovered the identity of the murderer haunting her nightmares, none other than Freddy Krueger. Her voice trembles with a mix of fear and determination as she conveys her belief that if Freddy takes her life, he'll come for Glenn next. Glenn's response is one of confusion and disbelief. He questions the notion, unable to comprehend why anyone would target him. Nancy's voice wavers as she dismisses his skepticism with a resigned, "Never mind." Undeterred, she steels herself for what lies ahead. In a resolute tone, Nancy issues a directive to Glenn, revealing a plan that hinges on their courage and determination. She urges him to remain awake until the stroke of midnight, poised for a confrontation with Freddy Krueger. The urgency in her voice underscores the gravity of their situation, and she implores Glenn to be ready to strike if the confrontation unfolds as planned. As Nancy patiently awaits the stroke of midnight, her attention is drawn to a chilling sight outside her window. Glancing outside, she spots Glenn's dad standing there, his gaze fixed upon her with an unsettling intensity. The unease amplifies as Glenn's mom joins him, the two of them exchanging a brief yet significant conversation. Glenn's dad's voice carries a disconcerting observation. He suspects Nancy might be a psycho or something. Meanwhile, Glenn's mom heads to her son's room, where a scene unfolds that encapsulates the night's tension. Glenn is caught in a struggle against sleep, attempting to stave off exhaustion by simultaneously listening to music and watching TV. Concerned, his mom gently advises him to get some much-needed rest, unaware of the impending peril that looms just beyond their awareness. As the clock strikes midnight, Nancy seizes the moment to call Glenn, her voice laced with urgency. However, her attempt is intercepted by Glenn's dad, who is straightforward in his dismissal. His words are curt and final, asserting that Glenn is asleep and suggesting that any conversation can wait until the morning. Undeterred, Nancy's determination compels her to try again. She dials the phone once more, her plea ringing out through the receiver. "Glenn, don't fall asleep." Unbeknownst to her, fate has already intervened, and Glenn has succumbed to slumber. Unsettling sounds resembling the ominous razor-like claws reverberate through the phone, sending a chill down Nancy's spine. In a hasty motion, she disconnects the line, the eerie encounter a haunting reminder of the malevolent presence that continues to infiltrate her reality. The chilling encounter with Freddy Krueger escalates to a new level of horror as Nancy receives another call, despite her previous attempts to disconnect the phone. The unmistakable voice of Freddy taunts her once more, delivering a bone-chilling declaration. "I am now your boyfriend, Nancy." The words reverberate through the air, sending shivers down her spine. The terror intensifies as Freddy's macabre actions take a nightmarish turn. From the mouthpiece of the handset, his grotesque tongue emerges, slithering towards Nancy and making contact with her face in a disturbing and unsettling manner. Shock and revulsion wash over her, leaving her paralyzed with fear and disbelief. Nancy's reaction is visceral. She throws the phone away, her expression a mix of horror and incomprehension. The surreal encounter leaves her momentarily blank, struggling to process the grotesque and surreal nature of the events unfolding around her. In the wake of the horrifying encounter, Nancy's determination to seek refuge with Glenn remains undeterred. However, her path is once again thwarted by her mother's actions. As she approaches their door, she finds it locked, the key hidden beyond her reach. A sense of desperation looms as she confronts her mother, who is in a state of inebriation and distress. In a staggering, slurred voice, her mother pleads with Nancy, repeating the haunting refrain, "You are killing me, Nancy. You have to sleep." The horrifying nightmare becomes a devastating reality as Glenn's peaceful room transforms into a scene of terror. Freddy Krueger's razor-like claws emerge from beneath Glenn's bed, violently snaring him in a nightmarish grasp. In an eruption of grotesque horror, blood surges from the sinkhole, splattering the walls and ceiling in a chilling display of violence and gore. The chilling scene triggers alarm throughout the house, jolting Glenn's mom into a state of shock and panic. As she rushes to his room and pushes open the door, she is met with an unimaginable horror that threatens to overwhelm her senses. Her anguished cry pierces the air, a haunting echo of the unspeakable tragedy that has unfolded. The subsequent scene shifts to a grim tableau as authorities converge upon Glenn's home, their presence a testament to the gravity of the situation. The lieutenant, who happens to be Nancy's father, is called in to unravel the perplexing and horrifying events that have shattered the once peaceful household. Despite their efforts, the answer remains elusive, and the sense of unease deepens as they grapple with the inexplicable. Nancy's father reaches out to her through the phone, his voice a mix of concern and urgency. But before he can speak, Nancy interjects, her tone resolute and grim. She delivers the devastating news that Glenn is dead, her understanding of the dire situation a testament to the nightmarish reality she finds herself trapped within. With a steely resolve, she assures her father that she knows who is responsible, the man who took Glenn's life. Her father implores her to reveal the identity of the perpetrator, vowing to take swift action to bring justice to those who have fallen victim to the unspeakable horrors that have engulfed their lives. Nancy's determination to confront the nightmarish threat head-on is unwavering as she divulges the chilling truth to her father. With a steady voice, she reveals that Freddy Krueger is the man responsible for the horrors that have befallen her friends, and she outlines her plan to capture him. She emphasizes the critical timing. If it's midnight, she'll have the opportunity to confront Freddy, and she implores her father to be there to apprehend him. In response, Nancy's father swiftly takes action. He commands one of the officers from his team to keep vigilant watch over their house, ready to respond to any unusual or suspicious activity. The urgency of the situation is palpable, and the air is charged with a sense of impending danger. With calculated precision, Nancy sets a series of booby traps throughout the house, anticipating the moments when Freddy Krueger will be in pursuit. Her movements are deliberate, each trap strategically placed to maximize her chances of ensnaring the malevolent figure who haunts her nightmares. The tension in the air is palpable as Nancy prepares for the climactic showdown that looms ahead. As the appointed time approaches, Nancy takes her place, ready to face the sinister threat that has tormented her reality. She sets her watch to the critical moment when she plans to rouse herself from slumber, having successfully captured Freddy Krueger. In a solemn and heartfelt moment, she offers a prayer to a higher power, seeking protection and guidance as she prepares to confront the darkness that has consumed her world. The room is charged with a potent blend of determination, fear, and resolve as Nancy closes her eyes, ready to venture once more into the realm of nightmares with a plan that could mean her salvation or her ultimate downfall. In the dream, Nancy's determination leads her down into the depths of her subconscious, much like a labyrinth of shadows. Her quest to confront Freddy Krueger takes her to the basement, the very place where her mother had displayed the disturbing razor-like claws. However, to her dismay, the claws are missing, hinting at the shifting and unpredictable nature of the dream realm. Undeterred, Nancy delves deeper into the basement, guided by an uncanny intuition that seems to grant her an enhanced understanding of this enigmatic world. The transition is seamless, and before she knows it, she finds herself transported to the haunting and eerie factory from her previous dreams. Her familiarity with the dream's landscape empowers her to navigate it with purpose, propelling her towards a climactic confrontation. With the clock ticking, Nancy's urgency intensifies. Her voice echoes through the factory as she calls out Freddy's name repeatedly, her words ringing out like a challenge. The tension mounts as time stretches thin, the weight of the impending deadline pressing upon her. Then, as if summoned by her unwavering resolve, Freddy Krueger materializes before her, his malevolent presence a chilling reminder of the horrors that have plagued her reality. Nancy seizes the moment, summoning her courage, and with a daring leap from a staircase within the dream, she is suddenly transported before her own house. Time is of the essence, and Nancy's final gambit unfolds. With fearless determination, she lunges at Freddy, determined to confront him head-on. The dream realm and the waking world collide in a flurry of action, and in a moment of intense clarity, Nancy awakens, her surroundings abruptly devoid of Freddy's sinister presence. The triumphant moment is abruptly shattered as Freddy Krueger's malicious laughter pierces the air, a chilling reminder that his presence persists. Nancy's reflexes kick in, and she seizes a nearby vase, hurling it with all her might at Freddy's head. The impact momentarily staggers him, buying her precious seconds to enact her next move. Thinking quickly, Nancy takes decisive action to trap Freddy. She swiftly exits her room, shutting the door behind her and securing the hammer trap in place, creating a dangerous obstacle that Freddy will unwittingly trigger upon opening the door. As she waits with bated breath, tension fills the air, and her heart races in anticipation. With a sudden burst of courage, Nancy beckons to the man stationed outside her home, her voice carrying a mix of urgency and relief. However, his confusion is palpable, and he reassures her that everything will be all right. It's in this moment that the meticulously placed hammer trap springs into action, and Freddy Krueger, lured by the open door, tumbles down the stairs, his menacing presence momentarily subdued. The chase resumes, and Nancy uses her ingenuity to outwit her relentless adversary. A cunning trap involving a wire and a light bulb is triggered, causing a burst of blinding light to engulf Freddy. The explosion of light disorients him, granting Nancy a fleeting advantage as she continues to elude his grasp. As the harrowing events unfold, the man stationed outside Nancy's home becomes increasingly uncertain about his next course of action. Doubts creep in, and he grapples with whether he should reveal the disturbing truth to Nancy's father. However, the intensity of the situation drives his internal conflict, and the weight of responsibility presses heavily upon him. The relentless chase between Freddy Krueger and Nancy continues, leading them to the depths of the basement. In a daring move, Nancy douses Freddy with gasoline, the acrid fumes filling the air. The spark of a lighter transforms the basement into a blazing inferno, engulfing Freddy in a torrent of flames. The house becomes a swirling haze of smoke and chaos, a battlefield of fire and fury. Amidst the turmoil, Nancy's father and a team of policemen burst through the door, their arrival a much-needed intervention in the face of the unfolding disaster. The chaotic scene gives way to a frantic search as they scour the burning house for any sign of Freddy's presence. Their efforts are a race against time, as the flames threaten to consume everything in their path. The tension mounts as they ascend the house, tracing the path of the fire's destructive journey. In a heart-stopping moment, they reach Nancy's mother's room, only to discover a nightmarish tableau. Freddy Krueger looms over Nancy's mother, the flames licking at their forms in a macabre dance. Nancy's father acts swiftly, shielding them both from the flames, desperately trying to extinguish the fire that engulfs them. As the smoke clears and the fire subsides, an eerie sight greets their eyes. A strange, blue-lit hole emerges in the aftermath, a surreal portal that seems to defy all logic. The portal seems to beckon, and in a shocking turn of events, it engulfs both Freddy Krueger and Nancy's mother, spiriting them away into the unknown. Grief-stricken and overwhelmed, Nancy's cries pierce the air, her heart-rending sorrow a testament to the depth of her loss. In the midst of the chaos, her father's arms enfold her in a comforting embrace, a gesture of acceptance and understanding. As they stand amidst the wreckage, the truth about Freddy Krueger's horrifying existence becomes undeniable. In a moment of shared realization, Nancy and her father find solace in each other's presence, united by the ordeal they have endured and the horrors they have faced together.